Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Jack, and with me today is Elena.
Hello, everyone.
Today, we're going to be talking about something I think everyone has felt at some point in their life, and that's feeling lost.
Yes, it's definitely something we can all relate to.
And it's especially common for people who are creative and driven, always looking for more from themselves and their work.
That's right. It's a universal human experience. Think about the early explorers. They got lost all the time,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah, for
while
sure.
making those amazing discoveries.
Right.
Feeling lost doesn't mean you're failing. It could actually mean that you're growing, even if you don't quite know where you're headed just yet.
It's true.
Yeah.
I like that analogy a lot. It reminds me of when I first started out in this field. I felt so lost.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it pushed me to learn and adapt and figure things out.
Yeah.
One thing that really helped me when I was feeling that way was just taking a break.
Yeah.
Like not giving up entirely,
Mhm.
but just giving myself some space to breathe and to reflect.
Absolutely. I think pausing is so crucial when you're feeling lost. It gives you a chance to kind of reconnect with yourself
Right.
and ask yourself that important question: what do I truly want?
Yeah.
Not what do others expect of me, but what matters to me.
That is a really difficult question to answer, though.
Oh, it is.
I know I really struggled with that for a long time.
Yeah.
I think part of that is understanding your own values,
Absolutely.
like things like honesty, creativity, or family.
Yeah, when you live in alignment with your values, you tend to feel much more fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's a disconnect, that feeling of being lost can creep in.
Wow.
It's like you're following someone else's path instead of your own.
That's a really good way to put it.
And finding your own way often means learning to embrace uncertainty.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Uncertainty can be really scary. It's true, though. Maybe it's a sign we're actually living a life of exploration and growth,
Yeah.
not just sticking to the safe and the familiar.
That's right. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing right.
Right.
You trust the process. You kind of let it unfold naturally.
So how do we handle that uncertainty? I mean, it can feel really paralyzing sometimes.
One thing that can help is just focusing on taking small steps. You don't need to have the entire journey mapped out, you know?
Right.
Just focus on that next step that's right in front of you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like climbing a mountain,
Yeah,
right? You focus on each foothold, not
Yeah.
the entire summit all at once.
exactly. It's all about making progress, even if it's just a little bit every single day.
Yeah.
Like building a new habit, for example.
Yeah.
You start small and you build on that.
It's a good point. You know, it makes me think of Trevor Noah.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a great example of someone who embraces new experiences and continually evolves as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he first started hosting The Daily Show?
Oh, yeah.
It felt like he was thrown into the deep end.
Oh, yeah. He faced a lot of criticism. People didn't really understand his perspective at first. He was an outsider trying to find his place.
He really was.
Mhm.
But he stayed true to himself and just kept learning and growing. And he eventually found his footing. It's actually pretty inspiring to see how he navigated all of that uncertainty.
Yeah, and he talks a lot about how important his friendships were during that time. You know, just having those people around him
Yeah,
helped him feel grounded and supported.
I remember that.
Yeah.
He even compared his friends to Horcruxes
He did.
from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like each one holds a different part of him, different memories and experiences.
It's such a beautiful analogy. It really is.
It is.
For how connections help us feel whole and seen and loved for who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the people we can be vulnerable with.
Yeah. He mentioned that his friends are his home, his recharge,
Yeah.
a constant source of support no matter what.
It reminds us that we're not alone in this journey. Everyone experiences uncertainty and doubt, and having people to share that with can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah. It's like they help us zoom out and see the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling lost is temporary. It's not our final destination.
And speaking of zooming out, Trevor Noah really emphasizes understanding different perspectives because he's often felt like an outsider.
Right.
He's learned to understand different cultures, languages, and ways of thinking.
That is such a valuable skill.
It is.
When we open ourselves up to different perspectives, we learn so much about the world
Yes,
and about ourselves.
absolutely.
He emphasizes the importance of asking questions and being curious. He's more interested in understanding why people see the world the way they do,
Yeah.
rather than convincing them to see things his way.
He's not afraid to be the smartest idiot in the room, as he puts it.
I love that.
Always willing to learn and grow.
That's a great way to put it. And it kind of goes back to his point about being comfortable with discomfort. Right.
Yes, exactly.
He seems to thrive in chaos, actually, feeling most comfortable when things are unpredictable.
He does. He does.
Really. That's interesting. I wouldn't have expected that.
He said he even enjoys the energy of a busy airport during delays. Wow.
When everyone else is stressed out.
That's so fascinating. I wonder if his upbringing played a role in that. He's spoken about growing up in a home with domestic abuse. Maybe that made chaos feel more familiar.
That's a good point. He said that the silence was more unsettling because he never knew what was coming next.
Wow. That's really insightful. It shows how those childhood experiences can shape our comfort zones.
They do.
In ways we don't even realize.
Yeah. And it highlights the importance of recognizing those patterns and challenging them if they're no longer serving us.
Speaking of childhood experiences, Trevor Noah also talks about how important it is to let go of the roles and identities that we take on as children.
Oh, that's a big one.
Because we often adopt these roles to try and fix things in our families.
Yeah.
To create a sense of safety or stability.
Like his role as the peacemaker between his parents, for example.
Exactly. He spent years trying to make things better, but eventually realized it wasn't his responsibility.
Yeah.
Nor was it even within his power to fix. It's a powerful realization, and I think one that many of us struggle with. We hold on to those roles long after they've served their purpose.
Yeah.
Because they've become part of who we think we are.
It's like we're afraid to let go of them because then we don't know who we would be without them.
That's right. But Trevor Noah argues that letting go of those roles is essential for growth. He compares it to a seatbelt.
Oh?
It's there to protect you, but if you don't know how to unbuckle it when you need to, it can become a trap.
Oh, that is such a brilliant analogy.
It is.
It reminds me of times when I clung to a job or a relationship long after it had stopped being healthy for me.
Yeah.
Because I was so afraid of the unknown.
And sometimes the greatest challenge is knowing when to walk away.
Yeah.
When to embrace that uncertainty and trust that something better awaits.
Absolutely. Speaking of embracing uncertainty, Trevor Noah talks about how he's learned to be comfortable with not knowing who will be in the future. He's more interested in exploring all the different versions of himself that exist.
He's constantly evolving, always open to new experiences and different perspectives.
It really is inspiring.
It is. He reminds us that life is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
The most important thing is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep asking questions.
And to find those people, those friends, those connections.
Yeah.
That make us feel at home no matter where we are in the world.
Absolutely. And to remember that feeling lost is a natural part of that journey, not a sign of failure, but an opportunity for self-discovery and growth.
Exactly. Sometimes the most important thing we can do when we feel lost is to just be kind to ourselves.
Yes.
Embrace the uncertainty and trust that we'll find our way.
And to remember that we're not alone. Everyone feels lost at some point. And there's strength in sharing those experiences and supporting each other through those moments of doubt.
That's a beautiful message.
It is. Before the break, we were talking about Trevor Noah and how he felt lost, especially when he first started hosting The Daily Show. It's a good example of how much pressure we put on ourselves sometimes. Like, we have to have all the answers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we have to look like we have it all together.
Exactly. And Trevor Noah actually talks a lot about the importance of being authentic. Like, it's okay to not be perfect. He even said he's learned to be comfortable being the smartest idiot in the room.
I love that phrase.
Me too. And it's because it keeps him curious and open to learning new things.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We don't have to have all the answers. I mean, we're all works in progress, right?
Right. We're constantly learning and evolving and growing.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most important thing is just being ourselves, even if it means we're a little messy or imperfect.
He also talks about this concept of like misrelating.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically when people have this preconceived notion of who you are based on your public persona.
Oh, yeah. It can be so hard to connect with people when they're relating to an image of you instead of the real you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like they've already decided who you are before they even get to know you.
That's exactly it. And it can create a feeling of loneliness and isolation because you're constantly trying to live up to an expectation.
Right.
That may not even be true to yourself.
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
I definitely felt that pressure to be someone I'm not. Just to fit a certain mold or whatever. And it's exhausting.
It really is.
So it's a good reminder to embrace our uniqueness and find those people who connect with the real us.
Absolutely. The real you,
Mhm.
not just the image we project. And Trevor Noah's friendships really stand out in his story. He talks
Yeah.
about how they make him feel so grounded and connected and supported.
Oh, yeah. He even used the analogy of Horcruxes from Harry Potter to describe his friendships.
He did.
Like each one holds a different part of himself, different memories, different experiences.
It's a beautiful way to think about friendship, those connections. They make us feel whole and loved for who we truly are.
Yeah. And he said, they're the people he can always rely on. They're his home, his recharge,
Yeah.
a source of strength and support.
And it just makes you think how important it is to nurture those relationships,
Mm-hmm.
to make time for the people who matter most to us, and to be there for them as they are for us.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, those connections, those bonds of love and friendship, they help us get through life's ups and downs. They help us find our way when we feel lost.
Yeah.
And remind us that we're not alone.
That's a really powerful message, especially these days when it's so easy to feel disconnected from people.
It is. Trevor Noah also talks about how important it is to be curious, to ask questions, to challenge our own assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
He said that from living in different countries and experiencing different cultures, he learned there's always more than one way to see the world.
Right.
And being open to different perspectives, that's what expands our understanding of ourselves. Mm-hmm.
And the world around us.
I think that's something he does really well. He's always challenging himself to see things from new angles, questioning his own beliefs. He never stops learning.
That's right. And he really attributes his growth to that curiosity and that willingness to ask questions and even be wrong. Not be afraid to be wrong.
That's a good point. It kind of reminds me of that saying, like, the only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing.
Exactly. And it goes back to that whole idea of being comfortable with discomfort.
Right.
Being okay with not having all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
It's in those moments when we embrace the uncertainty and just trust the journey, that's where the real growth happens.
So true. Trevor Noah also talks about the importance of humor, like how it can help you deal with difficult situations.
Oh, totally. He uses humor to connect with people, to kind of disarm tense situations and even make light of his own struggles.
Yeah. He doesn't shy away from tough topics, but he approaches them in a way that's both funny and insightful. Yeah, and I think humor is such a powerful tool for dealing with adversity.
Yeah.
It helps us to not take ourselves too seriously,
Totally.
to step back from our problems and to see things from a different perspective.
It lets us find joy and lightness even when things are tough.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that even when things are really hard, we can still find reasons to laugh.
Exactly. And Trevor Noah also talks about the importance of self-awareness, like
Right.
being able to laugh at yourself. He says it's crucial to be able to recognize your own flaws
Oh, yeah.
and shortcomings and not take yourself too seriously. He thinks self-deprecation can actually be a sign of humility and strength.
Really?
Yeah, it shows that you're comfortable with who you are
Mm-hmm.
and that you're not afraid to poke fun at yourself. And I think that's so important, especially in our culture that often celebrates perfection
Oh, yeah.
and success. But it's okay to not be perfect.
Mm.
It's okay to make mistakes. That's what makes us human.
That's true.
And when we can learn to laugh at ourselves, it takes the pressure off. It helps us be more authentic and to connect with others on a deeper level.
He also talks about the power of storytelling. He believes stories have the ability to connect us, to inspire us, to teach us about the world.
He's a great storyteller. He uses stories to share his own experiences, to shed light on social issues, and even to make really complex topics more understandable. Like, he has this amazing way of weaving in humor, personal anecdotes and observations into his stories. That makes them both entertaining and thought-provoking.
Yeah, I think storytelling is such a fundamental part of being human. It's how we make sense of the world, how we share our values,
Yeah.
how we connect with each other.
And when we can learn to tell our own stories authentically and vulnerably,
Yeah,
it can be so powerful.
it really can. It can help us to heal, to grow, to find our voice.
And it can inspire others and help them feel less alone in their own journeys.
That's a great point. It's so easy to get caught up in our own little bubbles, like thinking our way is the only way or the right way.
Yeah, we can get stuck in our own perspectives.
But when we step outside those bubbles and really try to understand other viewpoints,
Yeah,
it can be really eye-opening.
it can.
It's like when you travel to a new country,
Yeah,
you realize people do things so differently. And it's not wrong. It's just different.
right.
And those differences can teach us so much about ourselves and the world.
Absolutely.
Like Trevor Noah talked about how He's had to learn to understand different accents and languages, and it's helped him connect with people in such a deeper way. So it's really about bridging those gaps
Yeah.
and recognizing our shared humanity, even when we seem different on the surface.
That's right. Trevor Noah also talks about the importance of not taking our current situation for granted. It's easy to get comfortable, forget how far we've come and stop pushing ourselves to grow.
Yeah, that's so true.
So he reminds us we're all on this journey.
Yeah.
And it's always evolving. There will be ups and downs.
Right.
But it's important to keep moving forward, keep learning, keep growing.
It's like that saying, the only constant is change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And if we can embrace change and be willing to adapt, then we can thrive.
We can. One way to do that is by staying connected to our values. When our actions are aligned with what truly matters to us, it gives us a sense of purpose and direction and a feeling of fulfillment. And when those things are in place, even when we feel lost,
Right.
we can trust that we're on the right path.
That's a really great point to end on. So for anyone out there feeling lost, it's okay to not have all the answers.
It is.
Embrace the uncertainty. Trust the journey.
Yeah.
And keep exploring. And most importantly, remember, you're not alone in this.
You're not. We're all in this together.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
It was great talking about this.
It was. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and maybe even found it a little bit helpful.
I hope so.
Just remember, feeling lost is a natural part of life. And it's often in those moments of uncertainty that we discover the most about ourselves and the world around us. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing. We'll see you next time.